Welcome back to Learn Tagalog, Lesson 1-3. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you may want to take a look at learn-tagalog.com for more videos like this. I also have a lot more resources there for you to look at. You can listen to other recordings. You can click on the links and hear them easily, and it's a good way to practice. Okay? Now, in this lesson, it's really carrying forward from what we had looked at in lessons 1-1 and 1-2. If you haven't been following along, I strongly suggest that you start at lesson 1-1 and work through the lessons. The lessons do build on each other, and I'll be making assumptions that you have watched the previous videos. Okay? So, in this particular lesson, we're going to take a look at things like good morning to you. We've already learned how to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, things like that. But how would you say to you, or how would you say to you all? We can say things like good morning to you, how are you? So that's really the idea behind this particular lesson. Okay? But before we do that, I'd like to review some of the time of day greetings that we learned in lesson 1-2. Okay? So, the review of time of day greetings. I'd like you to say good morning. Do you remember that? Okay, now listen.
Magandang umaga.
Okay, say it again. And listen. To say good noontime, do you remember that? We don't normally have something like that in English, but we do in Tagalog. So, how do you say good noontime? Okay, listen.
Magandang tanghali.
Good. And how do you say good afternoon? Listen.
Magandang hapon.
Okay. And the last one, good evening. And listen.
Magandang gabi.
Okay, magandang umaga, magandang tanghali, magandang hapon, and magandang gabi. Now, listen to the word for noontime. Tanghali. Tanghali. Say good noontime. Okay, and listen.
Magandang tanghali.
Now you can see it on your screen. Say it again. And listen.
Magandang tanghali.
Good. Here is how to say to you. Listen and repeat. Sa iyo. Sa iyo. Now remember in Tagalog that I sound is E. Sa iyo. Sa iyo. That is how you would say to you. Say to you in Tagalog. Sa iyo. Sa iyo. Here is the name for Maria.
Maria.
Let's listen to that again.
Maria.
You notice the R has a rolled sound. It's almost like a D, like in the word letter. You may say letter. In pronunciation in English, we often would say letter. Okay? It's almost like a D sound. Maria. 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 Say good noontime to you, Maria. Remember the sa iyo. Listen.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Maria.
Okay, now you try it. And listen again.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Maria.
Good. Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Maria. How do you say to you? Sa iyo. Sa iyo. What is the word for afternoon? Do you remember that? Hapon. Hapon. Okay, let's say you see your coworker Pasita walking down the street. And you want to say good afternoon to you, Pasita. Say it. And listen.
Magandang hapon sa iyo, Pasita.
Okay, say it again. And listen.
Magandang hapon sa iyo, Pasita.
Great. Sa iyo is used for one person. However, to say to you, meaning to more than one person, maybe to a group of people, you say, listen,
Sa inyo.
and again.
Sa inyo.
You notice the IN in there. Inyo. Inyo. Sa inyo. Sa inyo. You can also use it with one person as a respectful way of saying to you. Remember how we use plural words like kayo to speak to say you? And even though we're talking to one person, we use the plural form to show respect. Okay? And the same thing here. Even though sa inyo means to more than one person, you can say it to one person with respect. Okay? Let's say good morning to you. This time we'll use it in the plural form. Try it. And listen.
Magandang umaga sa inyo.
Okay? Try it again. And listen.
Magandang umaga sa inyo.
Magandang umaga sa inyo. Say to you, the plural form. Good. Sa inyo. Now say to you, the singular, to one person. Sa iyo. Sa iyo. Anna is your friend. Okay, so we want to speak to her in an informal fashion. Say good afternoon to you, Anna. Now listen.
Magandang hapon sa iyo, Ana.
All right, try it again. And listen.
Magandang hapon sa iyo, Ana.
Ana. Sa iyo, Ana. Magandang hapon sa iyo, Ana. Okay? We can say to you all. First, let's learn the word for all. Listen and repeat.
Lahat.
Okay, try it again.
Lahat.
Lahat. Lahat. Now keep in mind the HAT looks like the word hat in English, but we don't use that sound for the A. We use a deeper sound like hot, hot, lahat, lahat. Lahat means all. Now we can say you all. Listen and repeat.
Inyong lahat.
Try it again.
Inyong lahat.
Inyong lahat. Notice the nung linker that we've used before. We put that at the end of inyo. Inyong lahat. Say you all.
Inyong lahat.
Good. And again. Inyong lahat.
Inyong lahat.
Good. Listen to the following. Lahat. Inyong lahat. Sa inyong lahat. Now we can say to you all. Listen and repeat. Sa inyong lahat. Sa inyong lahat. Notice the nung linker. Say to you all. Sa inyong lahat. And again. Sa inyong lahat. You see Mr. Cruz on the street. Say good evening to you, Mr. Cruz. Now remember, we want to use the respectful form. Try it. And listen.
Magandang gabi sa inyo, Ginoong Cruz.
And try it again. Remember that Ginoong Cruz is Ginoong Cruz, the two O's. Okay? Magandang gabi sa inyo, Ginoong Cruz. Listen again.
Magandang gabi sa inyo, Ginoong Cruz.
Okay. What is the word for all?
Lahat.
Great. And again?
Lahat.
Okay. Try to say good evening to you all. And listen.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Okay, you can see it on your screen again. Go ahead and say it again. And listen.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Very good. Now, Mrs. Cruz greets you good evening. Reply, good evening to Mrs. Cruz. How are you? This is some review, okay? Good evening to Mrs. Cruz. How are you? Try it. And listen.
Magandang gabi po naman, Ginang Cruz. Kumusta po kayo?
And say it again. And listen.
Magandang gabi po naman, Ginang Cruz. Kumusta po kayo?
She replies, quite fine, and you? Say it.
Mabuti po naman, at kayo?
Okay. Read it on the screen and say it again. And listen.
Mabuti po naman, at kayo?
Mabuti po naman at kayo. Okay. Very, very common. Now, say, Mrs. Cruz, this is Anne, my wife. And listen.
Ginang Cruz, ito po si Ann, may bahay ko.
Okay, we could put the word po in there as a sign of respect, as the speaker did. And say it again. Okay. Ginang Cruz, ito po si Ann, my bahay ko. I do want to remind you again that my bahay is an older way of saying wife. We would normally say asawa ko, okay? And I believe it in section 1-4, we will be looking at asawa and friend, like kaibigan, if you wanted to introduce your spouse, husband or wife, or you wanted to introduce a friend, okay? So that's coming up in, I believe it's section 1-4. Now, Mrs. Cruz says, it is my pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Turner. Again, this is review from before. How do you say that? It is my pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Turner. And listen.
Ikinagagala kong makilala kayo, Ginang Turner.
Remember that one? Ikinigagalak. Okay? Ikinagagalak kong makilala kayo, Ginong Turner. Try it again. And listen. Ikinagagalak kong makilala kayo, Ginang Turner. Good. Say good evening to you all. And listen.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Okay, try it again.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Okay, very good. Magandang gabi. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Good evening to you all. Jose is your friend, so it's an informal greeting. Say good noontime to you, Jose. And listen.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Jose.
And again.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Jose.
Good. Say, how are you? In a formal sense. Kumusta po kayo? Kumusta po kayo? A little note about sa iyo. Just as in English, we often contract our words. We do the same thing in Tagalog many places. Okay, one of those is right here. Instead of saying sa iyo, you may say sayo. Sayo. Okay? And notice the apostrophe is used there where the I would normally go, just as we do in English. Listen again to the native speakers say, good noontime to you, Jose, and listen to the sayo, okay, and try to hear the sayo. Listen.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Jose.
And listen again.
Magandang tanghali sa iyo, Jose.
Okay? Now, this concludes Lesson 1-3. I appreciate if you can go on to Lesson 1-4 and learn more about how to introduce your spouse. It could be your husband or your wife using asawa. You can also look at how to introduce your friend, kaibigan. Okay? So those are some of the things coming up in Lesson 1-4. See you there. Thanks for watching.